Thank you for coming. So some of my earliest memories as a child were learning how to swim in this very YMCA. That old pool is gone now, but I can still smell the chlorine like it was yesterday. That sting in your eyes that everyone gets the first time they jump in. You know the smell of a YMCA pool stays with you. Hello, my name is Aaron Ruggles, and I was born and raised here in Redlands. In the early 80s, the YMCA had these Mommy and Me programs, and I was always down here learning gymnastics or doing daycare, or learning how to swim with all the other toddlers of my day. And my father says he can remember swimming here as early as 1952. Right. He says that my kids, Jaden, who's 10, and Riley, who's 8, they're at karate right now. But they're probably the 5th generation to come to this YMCA. It's pretty crazy. I can remember all these old rooms growing up throughout all the renovations, messing around, playing in all different programs through the years. My girlfriend was in circus, so I was always hanging out, watching the shows under the stars at Prospect Park. And as a young adult, I was often volunteering or helping coach. In my 20s and 30s, I was working with the foster youth, and I was always bringing them down here for one reason or another. I probably watched 100 basketball games in that old gym. Eventually I got married to a beautiful young wife, started having kids of my own, and with the new family comes the new YMCA family membership. And through those long hot summers, we were always down here trying to stay cool in the pool, you know, meeting new friends. My kids loved that late night movie night that they were doing, that swim in a movie thing. And the circus performances were magical. They always are. It was like a dream come true. But then 2020 happened, and all the lockdowns and the COVID craziness. My life was forever changed. In the spring of 2021, I got a phone call that my wife of nearly 10 years passed away from a sudden asthma attack. And I was left to care for my 2 young autistic girls all by myself. Whatever happened next was kind of a blur, but needless to say, we were tossed, devastated, and depressed. And I struggled to keep it together for my 2 little girls, and they struggled with the loss of their mother. And they looked to me for strength, but I had to walk away from my career to take care of them. I was lucky I had savings, but we all had to reinvent our lives. And when I decided to get back on my feet and put myself together, one of the very first things I did was come down to the old YMCA. Someone had suggested I apply for financial aid, and they told me that there was actual money set aside for situations like mine. And who would have knew that widowed parents of kids with disabilities could catch a break? I didn't know, but that's why I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who's helped and donated in the past. Thank you for everyone who's made it possible for people like me to come back and get a second chance. Because it's a good thing. It's a very good thing, you know. We were at rock bottom, but here our lives immediately turn around. You see, a depressed and burnt out dad with no babysitters and no respite is bad. But that access to that kids club down there is a total game changer. My kids were finally able to socialize and cut loose and play with other happy kids their own age, while I was finally able to get a moment alone and gather my thoughts. A lot had changed, but the YMCA was still the same. Except now I was meditating in the mirrored dance room. I was working out my frustrations on the treadmill. I was relaxing in the hot tub, and I was crying in the sauna. But all the while, getting treated like a normal guy, even though I was barely hanging on. But now, when I went on walks, the YMCA gave me somewhere to walk to. I was able to meet like-minded people going through similar challenges, and I made a lot of unlikely friends who kept me accountable along the way. My kids got stronger and made new friends for school, and I was able to get personal time and train to take care of my life. I was able to rehab all the injuries and finally get back into shape. And I got to be in there for my kiddos, man. I'm all they got. And more recently, while waiting for our kids to get out of school, our friend Letty was bragging about how great her kids' karate class was. I had been sharing horror stories about trying to find someone experienced enough to, teach my kids. I love them to death, but working with young kids with special needs can be quite challenging. But the amazing karate class that she'd been bragging about just so happened to be the one here at the YMCA. And so I was blown away to find that the beautiful hidden meadow area behind the swimming facility just so happened to be the dojo of our very own world-class Rokudan Senpai. So now I'm laughing as we have a 6-degree black belt master of Kyokushin Karate teaching our wild bunch of little kids one-on-one instruction. But he's such an expert, he can keep all these little ones participating and focused, interested, and following directions all by himself. It's marvelous. He's got them all lined up, running around, jumping and kicking and punching and shouting hi-ya. It's an excellent thing, But he could still teach them all one-on-one. Individually, it's great. We had some pictures, but they just didn't make it. Sorry. Anyone that can keep my 8-year-old following directions is a master in my book. But he actually takes her aside and gives her the attention that she needs. All the meanwhile, my kids are learning solid skills for defense, discipline, self-control, basic motor functions, hand-eye coordination, balance, even a bit of Japanese. And I was encouraged to join as well. The sensei also coordinates with us to complement our doctor's physical therapy goals. So my kids that's way more attention than I could ever hope to give my kids. And through the months, the group has become like a family, and our kids have all become close friends, and the adults too. And again, when everything was going just so well, out of nowhere, tragedy struck. And on December 30th, our friend Letty, one of the dear karate moms, suddenly passed away. And now I see her late husband and his 2 little kids trying to pick up the pieces. My heart breaks for them as I see my own story repeating in real time. It was a harsh reminder that we are all just one heartbeat away from dirt, and that we are to love each other with whatever time we have left. But I see him at karate now trying to stay strong, and his 2 kids seem determined to stick it out. They want to continue karate in remembrance of their mother. And the father wants to keep him there to keep that sense of normalcy and continuity. But he had to quit his job to take care of his 2 young kids alone. And he too may need your help soon. So I think it's important to point out here that it's often these kids that are the ultimate benefactors of your donations. Because when things get dark and unforeseen bad things happen, the YMCA is there, and often the only safe place for some of these families. And there's absolutely no shortage of challenges for these kids these days. We cannot always protect our children from life's hardships, and we do not have a crystal ball. But the generous community donors and volunteers here tonight can absolutely help. You can help turn disaster into opportunity, as many have in the past. And literally help turn devastation into a family's strength. You help build up the safety nets for our future, for our kids, and we are truly grateful. And we are proof that when it seems hopeless and everything seems to fall apart, and when your back is up against the wall and you don't know what to do with your kids, and you have nowhere to go, you can go to the YMCA. They literally have everything. They got the racquetball playing retiree changing in the locker room next to the guy living out of his car who's finally getting a shower so he could go hang out with the old widow in the jacuzzi who's friends with the cancer survivors on the indoor track, and they're all watching the college bros compete on the pull-up bar. And it's for all the new mothers who have tried a kettlebell class or jazzercise or brought their kid to ballet, the young men using the Wi-Fi, the disabled folk getting their massages, the paraplegic swimmers, or the guy that's just here to get help with his probate. Families of every background, circumstance, size, shape, language, color, and creed, from all corners of the globe, come together here at the Redlands YMCA. It's crazy, but it's true. It's true. And many take it for granted that it's just a community center. But it's quite literally a sanctuary in the center of town. A historic focal point of our community through generations. In many ways, it is a beacon of hope to many who are struggling. And as much as our communities need the YMCA need our community. So now I thank you. I thank you for giving in support of families like mine. I thank you for volunteering to go out there and share what our beloved YMCA is doing for people. I thank you for raising up these funds for the annual community campaign tonight. Thank you.